If you're back here, it means you're ready to take that action that will change your life. Today, we have the pleasure of having a discussion with Manuella Nzukie. Manuella Nzukie is a personal financial expert. She has the experience in financial coaching. She is the founder of Figuring Finance, which is a financial literacy platform across the several sites. And she offers personal coaching programs for individuals as well as the companies that are willing to invest in educating their staff on personal finance. So in today's episodes, we are talking about what are the toxic money habits that we all have. And I think you will enjoy it. Welcome. Once again, welcome to the Craft Your Future channel. Today we have the pleasure of hosting Manuella Nzukie. Now, Manuella Nzukie is a personal financial expert who offers great knowledge on investing. So today we're going to talk about some of the toxic money habits that we have. And this is something so relatable to all of us. And I believe it's a topic we can just discuss because we've experienced it ourselves. We were not born experts in this field. And I believe we have great things to share to people. So welcome, Manuella.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. And this is one of my favorite topics.
We're going to discuss what is it that really prevents us from being rich? Because I believe all of us have the opportunity to achieve much more with our finances than just paying our bills every month and surviving the rest of the month, because most of the time we cannot manage to survive till the end of the month. So in your opinion, what are some of the things that actually prevent us from achieving some of the financial goals or targets that we set for ourselves?
So one of the things that prevents us, that I've also struggled with in the past and recently a little bit, is impulse shopping, impulse buying. You see something you want and you are not able to financially restrain yourself because you want it now. And it may not be something that you've budgeted for or put money aside for and you want it immediately. And also in the society we're living in, it encourages that because everything is instantaneous.
So we want that instant gratification, right? We do not want to wait to acquire that thing which you want over some time. So this impulse buying, why is it such a bad thing? Why do you think it's a bad thing?
It's a bad thing because it's something you didn't plan for, so it's taking you out of your budget. And if you don't even have a budget to start with, you don't even know how much you're working with, right? So it can really mess up your monthly amounts that you're working with. And also it's a bad habit to get into because you're not training yourself as a person to have delayed gratification. You now want things instantly, and that can keep growing as one grows in life. And the expenses just get more, so the purchases get more and bigger. And some people even take on debt to be able to purchase these things.
Okay, just hold on there. You talked about budget. You know, from the discussions that I've had, people assume a budget is just a list of expenses. What do you think about that? We need to demystify, like, a budget is not just listing expenses. It's a plan for your money, right? Maybe just what are some of the things that should be in a budget in your perspective?
Okay. First things first is budgeting is super important because it is you telling your money where to go. It is you giving your money a job, a duty to do. So that's the first thing. And some categories that you need in your budget is transport, utilities, rent, pocket money, groceries, house shopping. Those are really essential categories to have, along with entertainment as well. So those are just some key categories that you need to have in your budget. And I know there's this whole stereotype or stigma that budgeting is boring. Why budget if you have enough money? But the thing is to be able to grow your money and to also be able to be a good steward of what you have. It's good to have a plan for it. Yes.
It's funny that you put in entertainment there, because many of us think once I have a budget, it means there's no fun. There's no fun at all. So you're saying have it there, but have a limit, maybe perhaps have a limit to it, and that you can be using it as a gauge.
Yes.
What do you think?
Because the thing is, people fail in budgeting because they make it either unrealistic, way too tight, meaning that you're squeezing yourself, where you know you're gonna need maybe Netflix or go to the movies. You cut those things out of your budget thinking you're being, I guess, frugal. But the thing is, if you make it too unrealistic, you're not able to stick to it. So at least if you put it as a category and you put a certain amount aside, whether that's 1,000 baht, whether that's 5,000, depending on whether it's just you, whether you have a family, 10,000 shillings, but it at least has to be a number that's realistic to you, rather than again being too tight on yourself and then not sticking to the budget and then hating budgeting at the end.
Okay. Yes. I like the aspect that you're bringing consistency into it.
Yes.
Because if you put in a figure that you're not comfortable with, chances are you're not going to be consistent with it.
Yes.
And that's what really discourages people from following the budgets, because you can stick to it for 1 month or 2 months, then the third month you find that you can't.
Yeah.
And then you get discouraged and fall back to your old ways and really can't do much, right?
It's true. And on top of it, that's why you hear people saying, oh, I just suck at my personal finances. I can't budget. Budgeting,
it's not for me.
Yeah, and there's so many different methods to even budget. It's not like it's a one size fits all type of, thing. So, yeah.
So anyone can budget.
Anyone
can budget. It's not for the finance people. It's not for the rich.
No.
Anyone who has any income should be able to budget.
They should. And also because we are growing in life. So if you don't start these habits with what you have now, how will you be able to have these habits later on when you have way more to work with? Budgeting can even start as you're in university and your parents are still paying for stuff, but they're giving you a certain amount of money to work with. When you have your side hustles, when you have that first job and you're earning not so much, that's still a time to budget. It's still a good time to cultivate these habits.
Yeah, so we should bring up even our kids, the culture of getting them to start saving early and even paying for some of their gifts or things that they want, right? So when you go to the supermarket, you're like, okay, maybe we need some of the money you've been saving, chip into buying this. So they get that culture of managing their money at a very early age. And that makes them grow and be able to manage their money better when they're older.
Exactly.
One of the things that many of us suffer from, because our education system does not offer us financial education. So the time that you get your first salary, that first job, you don't know what to do with it. And the other thing that comes in, because it's my first income, I want to spend to impress. Yeah, that's another habit that we all suffer with. You want to spend to impress. Have you had any experience with this?
Of course, yes, I have. That's keeping up with the Joneses. You know, you see your friends with something or your neighbors with something and you want it too. And you might not be in a position to get it, but you go out of your way to get it, to be able to keep up with the status. That's called keeping up with the Joneses. So that usually happens because you're trying to prove something, right? But if you can be secure in who you are and what you have and content with what you have, you're able to grow your money and not have to keep up with people. Because again, you don't know if they're taking on debt for this. Maybe they're in a better financial position for now, you know? So when you're trying so hard, it just puts you in this treadmill thing. That like
you're never meeting the expectations.
Exactly.
So you need the latest iPhone, you need the latest car, you need to be doing all the road trips that are there to keep up with the social media. Because social media has really lied to us, because we only see the good parts of people's lives.
Exactly. And the thought that came into my mind is that thing, the hamster goes on, that round thing, and you just keep running and running and running on it, you know, but it never really stops. And FOMO I have struggled with before, you know, you want to keep up, but I think the best way again is practicing gratitude, understanding where you are, and also when you have financial goals, you're able to shift your perspective from focusing on others to focus on what you want for your life and how you want to, how you want to allocate your money, rather than, I guess, being so focused on other people and what they're doing and how their lives are going.
I like that. When you say focus on yourself, have your own goals, because most of us don't even write down our goals. We just say, I want to be rich.
Yes.
And we are hoping, crossing our fingers, praying every day that we get rich.
Yes.
But we don't have a plan for it.
That's true.
And also the other thing that comes as a result of pressure to spend is now we go into debt. You had talked about debt a bit. Yeah, where we are now, we are going into the mobile loans, we're going into credit cards. Yeah, what do you think about this? Because it's a really big thing at the moment.
Yes.
The mobile companies are making billions out of people's ignorance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say do your research, find out how much the interest is, how much are they making from this, and also work it into your budget. If you have a credit card, for instance, work it into your budget. Don't just spend mindlessly, because those amounts do add up. And for the mobile banking loans, if it's possible, don't take them. And if you have to, at least work it into your budget. Know when you need to pay back, how much you need to pay back, because these things do go to CRB, and it can mess up your chances of getting an actual bigger loan later on in life.
I think what people don't know is that the interest rate on your credit card is actually much higher than a normal loan that you'd have gotten at the bank.
Yes.
So the fact that you keep taking on more credit means you're paying a lot more interest to it.
And also, people don't take into consideration, just as investing, you have compound interest that works for you, and it compounds your money. So does this interest on loans. It compounds if you're not paying it on time. If you're letting it accumulate for some time, it does accumulate, and it does just keep compounding itself. And you might find yourself in a situation where you have so much debt and you're stuck.
Yeah. It's such a tricky situation, because it has been normalized that these loans, it's part of life, So you find that somebody has a salary, but month after month, they're still relying on this extra Fuliza loan to make ends meet.
Yes.
And the fact that what they're missing is that they don't know that they're actually living beyond their means. Yeah. So you're living beyond your means. And if you're living beyond your means, chances are you're not saving anything.
That's true.
Yeah. So how important is it to build some savings that will help you, and even something like an emergency fund? How can that help you?
Okay, so the first thing is, you said something really important, which is living within your means. A lot of people are living beyond their means, and you need to live within your means, below your means, so that you're able to even save. Because when you are living above your means, you have nothing to save, and you're working at a deficit, right? So when you're talking about an emergency fund, you need some money that you're putting aside every month to be able to cater for any emergency. An emergency fund is strictly for emergencies like hospitalization, job loss, car repairs, anything that can be categorized as an emergency fund. And then on top of it, it needs to be 3 to 6 months of your minimum expenses, your necessary expenses, which means on a bad month, how much would you be spending? Like if you are budgeting, let me say for instance 200,000 shillings, maybe on a tight month you're spending 180 or 170, right? So that is what your emergency fund should be. And you can first start with building a 1-month emergency fund, then grow it to 3 months, 6 months, depending on your dependents. Are you living alone? Are you a single parent? Are you in a 2-income household? So those things do play a role in determining, do you want a 1-month emergency fund? But we always advise a 3-month emergency fund. Some people even do to 12 months because COVID taught us a lot, right?
Yeah. We were at home for a whole 12, even more than 12 months.
Yes,
and up till today, some businesses have still not survived.
Yes.
So you can imagine in such a situation where your regular income, especially the business people who really had felt that impact, you're not able to even pay your rent for the next month, what we realize that some people are actually asset rich and not cash rich. So somebody has all this property, but they don't have cash that they can use to settle some small emergencies that are there. And that's why an emergency fund would be very important to have.
Yes.
Yeah. So the other thing that you mentioned is that job loss is there. So with job loss, we need to be more, how would I say it? We need to pay more attention to how we spend our money. And if you don't have proper recording of your finances, your expenses, your incomes, because most of us like to say, okay, I'm keeping a record of my finances, but you're only keeping a record of the good things. you're not writing those 10,000 shillings spent in the club last night. You're just writing down the rent and yes, these are my monthly costs. So it's really important that we also keep track, just the way we keep track of our expenses, for example. We also need to keep track of all our incomes. Yeah, because having several income sources, many of us can actually generate several income sources, but then only account for one income source. That means all the other income sources are going to waste because we are just seeing them as extra money that we are not planning for, we are not using. Yeah, so how can we ensure that people are using even the extra income sources, putting them to good use? Yeah.
Okay, well, for that, I would say a budget is good, but with a budget, you need to track your spending.
Yeah.
Because if you're setting and forgetting the budget, then it's not working for you. It's just pen to paper, something you've written. But if you can have a system where you track your spending every day or every other day, every 3 days, I usually say don't let it go past 3 days just because you can forget, especially for me, I'm a parent. I mean, there's so much that goes in and out of my house, and for my daughter, I can't go past 3 days. I might forget, what I spent, that 1,000 bob on or whatever,
definitely.
So tracking your spending really helps. And this is not a fancy thing or anything. It's just, you can do it pen to paper on your laptop through an app where you write what you've been spending and you write the income that you're working with. Because some people who have several incomes don't even know how much they're getting in a month, don't even know how much they're spending in a month. And that's a tricky place to be.
So it's just hand to mouth. You don't know.
Yes.
Next month will take care of itself.
Yes. Yes. And that's a really tricky place to be because you're not being accountable. And again, if you don't have that emergency fund, if you don't have access to cash in case of anything, it's not a good place. And also for your own financial goals, to be able to grow, you need to know what's coming in, what's going out. And that is the basic, that is the bare minimum. Because before I start speaking with clients about investing, I need to know how much they have, right?
How much they have.
So you need to know that, and that can only come through tracking.
I think with those few words, I think I don't have nothing to add on to that for now. I just want to urge all of you to just keep track of your finances. Keep track of all the things that you're doing. All these things are not meant to restrict you. As Manuela said, the budget is meant to be just a plan for your money, showing your money where you need to go. We're going to be having a second part with Manuela, and we're going to dive deep into other toxic habits that we may be having. But as we get there, please remember to subscribe. I want you to hit the like button, share, and we'll be right back with more from Toxic Money Habits.